You do all your research and you prepare an immigration form and you mail it to USCIS with a check for the correct filing fee. 1 week passes, they still haven't cashed your check. Several weeks later, they still haven't cashed your check. And then around the 6th week, you receive a package in the mail from USCIS and you realize that they've rejected your package and mailed it back to you with your filing fee. What do you do at this point? Well, in some situations, you may have blown a deadline, so it's not a great situation to be in. Today, we're going to talk about 5 common ways that people get their applications rejected. One of the easiest ways that you can get your application rejected is by submitting the incorrect filing fee. Let's take a look at Form I-485, the green card application. So uscis.gov/I-485. Right? On this website, it'll say what the filing fee is. But there's a different fee if you're age like 0 to 14 versus 14 to 79. There's a different fee depending on what the basis is for the green card application, because sometimes you have to include the biometrics fee or not. And interesting fun fact, it doesn't really matter whether you pay that fee all in one or you have the green card fee in one check or biometrics fee in another check. They need to add up to be the correct amount or USCIS will reject your package and mail it back to you. The second way that your package can get rejected is by not submitting the correct signature pages. So people regularly make the mistake of signing in the wrong boxes or not dating their signatures. This is particularly a problem with the I-751, which has a confusing set of signature pages at the end and you're not sure where you're supposed to sign or your spouse is supposed to sign. So please be sure to read the instructions for the form very carefully and pay attention to the language on the form if you're filing it yourself. The third way that a package is likely to get rejected is if you submit the wrong edition of the form. Before you submit any application to USCIS, if you're using the paper version of the form, be sure to go on the uscis.gov website and download the most recent edition of that form. Otherwise, USCIS will reject it and say you submitted an outdated version of the form. The fourth way that a package can get rejected is if you fail to include every single page of the form. And I've seen situations where people print out the form and the tops and bottoms of the page are cut off because the PDF wasn't printed to fit to the page. I've seen situations where USCIS literally loses the form. I've mailed out forms to USCIS. Before I mail anything out in accordance with like the attorney ethics rules, I keep a complete copy of everything. And I know for sure I mailed out the complete version of the form, but they'll reject it, mail it back to me, and say I didn't submit every page of the form, and the version they mail back to me is missing 1 or 2 pages. I imagine some USCIS, and by the way, it's not even always in the correct order when it comes back to me. It'll be like page 3, 2, 1, 7, 8. It's like a USCIS officer just took the form, threw it up in the air, and then put it back into a package and mailed it back to me. It's not always your fault, but it's very frustrating nonetheless. And the final way that USCIS will commonly reject your application is if you mail it to the wrong filing address. On the USCIS website for each form, it'll usually have a complicated set of filing instructions. For example, for the I-485 green card application, it'll say, if you live in these states, use these filing addresses. If you live in these states, use these filing addresses. And then, based on those states, it's not even that simple. If you're using US Postal Service, send it to this address. If you're using a private courier like DHL, FedEx, UPS, use this address. So be sure to read the filing instructions, especially if there's a separate website just dedicated to the filing addresses, very carefully. By now, you may have realized that a lot of these tips pertain to filing the paper version of the form. So whenever possible, it might be in your best interest to file the form electronically. And if you're concerned about doing it the right way or the wrong way, know that I'm here to assist you if you need any assistance with this immigration process. All right, guys, I'm posting regular videos once a week, so be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next week for another video.